proud to be straight edge. Welcome back to Tied Down TV, the punk rock opinion show with me, Danny.
And Geoff.
And just before we get started today, I'd like to thank everyone for subscribing, because between last week's video to this, we've absolutely sailed past 100 subscribers, so thanks for that.
Yeah, amazing, thank you.
So, this week's straight edge albums. Now, for someone who isn't straight edge and has never been straight edge, what do you know about it? To your knowledge, what is like the origins of it, and what is it, in your opinion?
Okay, we'll start with what is it?
Yeah.
To me, from the outside looking in, especially when I first discovered what it was. It was basically people who decided to shirk what was, I mean, quote unquote, the norm, I guess, of, you know.
It's like a self-destructive thing.
Yeah.
Self-destructive thing. Punk
going
time,
against that self-destructive element. Yeah. So abstaining from drinking, drugs, you know, smoking, and a lot of people promiscuous sex as well. That for me, from the outside looking in, I obviously, as I've gotten older and know more about it a little bit, there's more to it than that, I guess. It became its own thing, and then the whole movement. As of the origins of it, as I understand it, is DC.
Yeah.
Because obviously, Minor Threat coined the song Straight Edge, which spawned the movement. However, prior to that, you already had the X's on the hands. And the origin of that, again, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is during the time of when Ian MacKaye from Minor Threat was in the Teen Idols. They were wanting to go and see bands that were playing in DC in the 930 Club, but it wasn't an all-ages venue. They weren't allowed to get in, couldn't get in to see these bands. He goes and has a meeting with the lady who's running the club at the time and says, listen, all we want is to come in and see the bands. We don't want to drink, we don't want to cause trouble. So here's the solution. We will draw, or you can draw, big X's on the backs of our hands, and then everyone in there knows you don't serve us. We're underage. And again, as far as I'm aware, that's basically the origins of the X's on the hand. The song Straight Edge, you know, it's this small for kind of saying what he doesn't want to do, the same things as everybody else. And then from that, obviously, there's more to it, but that's where
the X symbol becomes kind of like a badge of honour to kids who want to live a less self-destructive lifestyle.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And even though, as you say, as someone who isn't straight edge, I do respect it immensely, because anybody who does what they feel is right and the best thing for them, that's cool, you know what I mean? Yeah,
and then as for the music, obviously, straight edge hardcore then is kind of birthed as like a subculture of hardcore itself.
Yeah.
And, you know, it went through a few waves, I guess. You got your first wave, then you've got, like, in the 90s, it went more metallic, and then you had, like, you had, like, youth crew revival stuff as well in the going into the mid to later 90s. Yeah. So, you've mentioned Minor Threat there and how important they are, and I've noticed you've picked them first.
That's right. So, yeah, we're going to start off. No, I'm actually not starting with the release that contains the song, but I've gone with Out of Step by Minor Threat. Didn't pick the 7 inches because I have picked that in a previous video, so check that out. But you know, the song Out of Step itself, even with the cover with the black sheep going against everybody else, he says quite clearly in that, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't fuck. Doesn't he?
But at least he can do what?
At least he can fucking think.
Exactly.
But that's, I mean, as I said to you as well before, I don't necessarily, Minor Threat aren't necessarily a straight edge hardcore band, because they're the kind of the catalyst of it, so it kind of before it was a thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, they're a massive part of it, and they've got to be talked about. And also, just to shout out this fucking record, because I've said it before and I'll say it again, they are one of the best hardcore bands of all time.
And anyone who watches this show is probably onto the fact now that Geoff is massive into Discord records.
I do, massive. Not gonna lie. But let's be fair, you can't deny it.
They're amazing.
It's great. They're a great band. It's an amazing release. It's song for song. My favourite's probably Think Again. A great riff at the start. The title track, Out of Step, goes straight into a hidden track's not listed called Cashing In. And for those of you who know your pop punk, will know that Green Day lifted the riff from that, like, note for note, for the end section of the song Holiday, which, as a lot of you probably know, Green Day have been accused of ripping off a lot of fucking punk songs over the years. But anyway, first pick, and it's an absolute belter, I guarantee you. And again, 15, 20 minutes long, I think, at most. Every tune, it's great, fucking blow you away. Everything this band's ever done for me is great. So, number one.
There isn't a bad song, There isn't a bad
Minor Threat song. But that's number one for me, and it's got to be mentioned, hasn't it? Straight edge.
Of course. My first choice, I've gone for It's Always Darkest Before the Dawn by Turning Point. Now, these guys came out of like the first youth crew phase of the mid-80s. Their first 7-inch sound has got the typical Youth Crew sound, but this here, you are definitely moving into a more emo sound. Very, very melodic. A lot of Revolution Summer influence going on here. I think they've been listening to a lot of Dag Nasty and stuff like that. They've got a discography on J-Tree, so it's got everything they've got. I think it's still available on CD. This has got one of my personal favourite songs on ever in any genre of music, which is Shadow of Lies. Absolutely amazing song. Unfortunately, in like a weird twist of like irony, the singer from this band unfortunately died in 2002 of an accidental drug overdose, which is, you know, and I know they did a lot of like benefit shows and that for that, but yeah. This is one of the best, definitely one of my favourite straight edge records ever. And like I say, it leans very heavy. It's starting to definitely go to almost like emo, like full on emo.
I don't really know it. I need to check that out then.
Yeah, it's definitely up your street.
Like I love a lot of that melodic stuff, as you know.
Yeah. But again, every song on it's amazing. Very, you know, really good instrumentation. A lot of like slow songs as well. And I believe this is from 1990. So yeah. Turning point.
Great choice. Number 2 for me. Just to say as well, a lot of my picks will be obvious, but I feel for me they're what I've had to pick. But number 2, the kids will have their say. SSD Control.
Brilliant recent reissue.
Yeah, so this is the reissue 1000 on yellow vinyl. But beside the point, societal system Decontrol. Is that right? This is a fucking great record. As you can see, they're all wearing with the straight edge jackets on the back. It's so fucking fast, isn't it?
It's so fucking hard to get hold of for years.
And it was for years. That it has come back out. But this, obviously, Boston they're from, which a lot of you will know, quite an infamous hardcore scene, especially back, you know, around this time, going into the 90s. Famously took a lot of people on tour, DYS and Negative Effects, called the Boston Crew. Roadied for them, didn't he? But also started spot checking the crowds and looking out for drinkers and, you know, smacking beer out of their hands.
You could argue they invented the hardline philosophy.
I think definitely,
this
is probably the origin of that. But again, if you know, all that aside, they're fucking brilliant. This is a fucking brilliant album. I know they went metal, didn't they? After a little bit, which is not for me really. But this and the EP they did as well is fucking class.
Get it away.
Like, it's brilliant. Just again, like this era of hardcore, as you know as well, is I'm very into.
Very up your street,
like that, very fast and furious. It's fucking relentless. It's great. I listened to it again like yesterday, and I was like, it's fucking class. Like, if you haven't got it, as Danny said, it's actually quite easy to get hold of now. And
you're still paying though.
Yeah. But it's essential, really, in the development of even just hardcore in general, but definitely straight edge hardcore. As you said, like the hardline thing probably does start here, doesn't it? Really,
I'd say so.
Yeah. So number 2, amazing pick as well. Great band.
I'm gonna go into the mid-90s now, getting a bit more metallic here. I've gone One Truth by Strife. This was a huge deal for me growing up. This album from 1994. What I love about this, it's absolute complete gang vocal overload. And one of my favourite things about hardcore was always the gang vocals. And in this, you're getting a gang vocal where it feels like every 2 lines of lyrics, you're getting a gang vocal.
It's almost like hip-hop influence then, isn't it? With like a line end.
Maybe you could see it that way. But in this Defiance, the album after this is often seen as their peak, but I always preferred One Truth. I remember picking this up. I remember finding the CD of this in Quiggins way back in the day, opening it up and seeing the big 3 fat X's on the inside cover, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I've got to get this. But you know what, the lyrics aren't really like, they're a lot more philosophical. You know, there's songs about inner struggle, isolation, and search of the search of truth, your own personal truth. Do you know what I mean? It makes you think. Very interesting lyrics going on there. And this represents to me a young band with a lot of heart. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, cool.
It's not as polished as the second album, and that's why I think I like it so much. But this still gets regular play. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I absolutely love it. I've got a One Truth T-shirt and everything. I really love. Victory Records, this was released on. They released a lot of like the more metal influenced stuff that was coming as a straight edge at the time. Bands like Integrity, Snapcase, Earth Crisis, stuff like that. But yeah, this is one of the best albums in hardcore for me. It's one of the most important for me, and also one I keep playing to this day. So yeah, Strife, One Truth.
Nice. I don't have a lot to say about it because I actually don't know it. I know the band and I've heard a few bits and bobs and never really kind of gravitated towards it. But
brilliant.
I'm gonna have to check it out, aren't I? But anyway, number 3 for me. Talking of Boston, mention the name, Negative FX. this is a very short-lived band. What, 5 shows, I believe, is all they played? And there's 6 flyers or something existing. And maybe you could argue they don't really talk about straight edge in the songs on it, really, is it? But they come out of that Boston thing. Like I say, Jack Kelly, known as Choke, the front man of these, was part of the Boston crew, used to go around. And as you'll know, Choke obviously fronted Last Rites after these, wasn't it? And
Slapshot most famously,
obviously.
Yeah.
But it's fucking class, this again. I think just
very fast,
very up my street, very fast, very fucking relentless. I like his vocals.
Yeah.
I actually prefer these to Slapshot, I must admit.
Yeah.
Not that I'm anything against Slapshot. Obviously, this is just a bit more for me. It's great, isn't it? Like not that easy to get hold of, not that hard either. But it's I know it got press recently, but I think it's sold out in most places. But it's class. I love that cover as well. I think you can get it on CD though, can't you? With everything they ever did, 7-inch included. I think it was recorded in '82, but didn't come out until '84, I believe. And when you sing about gang vocals, funny enough, almost every chorus on this is a gang vocal, isn't it?
Different kind of gang vocal, though, you know what I mean?
It's there, like, and I read somewhere that people were saying this was quite influential on thrashcore, which
I can see it.
I guess so, yeah. I'd never really thought about it, but I get it. But I think the speed of it alone, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's fucking class. Like, again, Boston from the 80s, it's fucking great. Get on
it. Speaking about a band that maybe don't speak about straight edge that much, now I'm going to go right on the other end.
Yeah.
Judge, bringing it down. A much darker, militant take on the straight edge philosophy.
Very much so,
just listen to the song Bringing It Down. Do you know what I mean? If you've got the 7-inch New York crew, listen to the song Fed Up, and you can see that they are much more hardline in their approach to the straight edge philosophy. Every song on this is an anthem. Do you know what I mean? These are the kinds of songs that that were designed for the crowd to get involved in. Do you know what I mean? Lots of songs about desperation as well. I mean, just listen to the song Like You. This is an album that can make you feel every emotion. There's anger in there, frustration, bitterness, sadness. I think they're a very special band in that way. Do you know what I mean? Like Mike Judge's voice just drips with bitterness and anger and frustration. Do you know what I mean? And I know
with that.
Yeah, and it's just an unbelievable album. It's obviously the Hammer logo is obviously synonymous with them and I guess straight edge.
Also Tied Down TV.
Yeah, Tied Down TV. But obviously features Poor Cell from You for Today as well.
Yeah.
I believe Mike Judge had a stint in You for Today, and he was writing for Judge as he was in You for Today. And then this was before they recorded this. Their first attempt was an album that ended up being called Chunking Can Suck It, which is if you can get a copy of that and you've got a spare $7,000 on you might be able to find a copy of that.
You've got a lot of spare cash.
I mean, they weren't happy with the recording, and this was the second attempt. And obviously this is brilliant. I also love the Chunking Can Suck It sessions, even though they do sound tinny as fuck.
Sometimes it's the charm.
Well, there's a couple of tunes on there that never made it on there that I really like No Apologies, for instance. But yeah, Judge and me, everyone who's watching this, who knows what straight edge, knows this band.
Yeah.
They're
I
notorious.
think most people who know hardcore don't know much about straight edge, probably know.
They're obviously one of the most notorious bands in the straight edge scene. So yeah, Judge, Bringing It Down, I think had to be in my list.
Yeah, it's a good record. Like,
had a huge impact on me growing up.
It's definitely a good record. Yeah, it's a good choice. So my next one, staying in New York, I've gone You for Today, Can't Close My Eyes. Now, maybe a slight cheat, because I know technically it's not really an album, is it?
Neither was Negative Effects, so you've cheated twice there.
No, not Negative Effects, it's a full album.
It's 7-inch originally, though.
No, it's both.
Yeah, well, it's got a lot of songs
both, on. The 7-inch only got a few tracks on it. But this is definitely it's hard to choose, to be fair, because Break Down the Walls is good as well. But I think because of the song, You for Today is why I picked this, because basically, like, the first time I heard this band, I fucking hated the vocals, man, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I hated them. It sounded...
He's not... Yeah, but he's kind of...
It was like it was exaggerated, it was a bit forward.
Yeah, I just think it's a little bit...
wasn't feeling
a little bit done with tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Ray Capo, do you know what I mean?
But now,
yeah,
I absolutely love his vocals. And like I say, the song, You for Today, You for Today, I love that. I just fucking like it's probably more recent, like I'm saying, but that I've got into this properly. they're a great band from New York. I think this Break Down the Walls as well is fucking well worth checking out. It's great. If you're into that, like, they're a seminal youth crew band, aren't they? Youth for Today.
Well, a lot of the bands that were coming out then, like Side by Side, Bold, Youth for Today, it's all brilliant. That whole youth crew stuff's amazing.
It is. Yeah. It's great. It's well worth checking out. But get past the vocals. And they grow on you, I swear, because they did for me. Like, and they're a massive band, so a lot of people love them anyway, don't they? You know, they're a pretty obvious choice when you're talking about straight edge. But for me, I had to pick it because I fucking love it. It's great. They're well worth checking out. Go and have a look.
Little bit of CD wanking going on now for my last couple of picks, so I'm sorry about that. With Geoff picking a few of the obvious ones, it's given me the opportunity to maybe pick something a bit less obvious, and I've gone a little bit more modern here. Anyone who knows me knows I love bands like Sheer Terror and Breakdown and all that New York stuff. I've picked the Mongoloids, Time Trials. Now, if I had to say what these guys' influences probably were in the straight edge side of things, I'd probably say, rather than like that youth crew stuff, I'd probably say more of the early 80s New York straight edge stuff, like The Abused and Straight Ahead maybe. But there's a huge Sheer Terror influence going on here. And if you're not in the mood to get too philosophical about straight edge and you just want to go for a fucking mosh and break some heads, this is the album to listen to. I seen these probably about 12 years ago in Wrexham with Agnostic Front, and that gig was the place I made one of the biggest ever merch mistakes of my life. Now, we've all done it.
I was going to say, we've all made them.
Yeah, you know, you get that excited, don't you? You run to the merch stand, you're like a kid in the candy shop, you're like, oh my God. Now, these guys had at the time, you know, that classic Floor Punch design shirt, Floor Punch straight edge on the back, and it's got the mosh guy like that. Yeah. They'd taken that design and they had it on a t-shirt on this particular tour. And I've never had one of them shirts, and I really wanted one. And I ran over there, and they had all the nice colours. They had nice blues, blacks, reds, navy, all them colours. Now, for some reason, and to this day, I don't know why, I picked this snot green coloured one. And I'm walking around thinking I look great in Liverpool the weeks after, and I look like a fucking walking fucking sinus infection.
Nice.
Right? But it's similar to when we went to that fucking off gig a few weeks ago. Yeah. Everyone's buying these caps. It might just be that I look stupid and stuff. Everyone looks cool in these caps, and there's me. I look like I've got a fucking pot on my head. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that gives me an idea. If you've had any bad merch mistakes, which we've all had, comments. I want to hear them. But yeah, if you just want to mosh and you just want to fucking have fun on a dance floor, Mongoloids, Time Trials. This is a brilliant, brilliant album with a really heavy like New York influence going on there. So yeah, definitely Mongoloids, Time Trials. Nice. Definitely Sheer Terror sounds going on in here.
That's cool. My last pick, I got another obvious one. Stuck in New York, another seminal youth crew band, Gorilla Biscuits. Start today. Again, much like I said about Youth Today, if you know about a little bit about hardcore and about straight edge, you'll know who this band are. I fucking love them. Yeah. I know they're a bit cheesy. They're a little bit my first hardcore band kind of thing. I get that. Yeah. I still love them though. I do. Yeah. I actually prefer the 7-inch, but the album is. 7-inch is better. I still think the album's great. Every song on it is catchy. It's got loads of melody, hasn't it? You know what I mean? It just sounds so upbeat and positive all the time when listening to it. It's just cool, man. I just think, I know you'd never pick it. I had to pick it because I think for
the one of my lesser favoured New York straight edge bands, I guess.
Whereas for me, these are probably one of the more ones that I return to quite a lot.
I think they're an easy gateway to someone who's doesn't want to hear anything too heavy or too in your face.
Oh yeah,
it's a nice listen. There's almost like little pop moments in it. Do you know what I mean? Sneaking in. Do you know what I mean?
Pure melody in there, like that catchy earworms and that. But fronted by Civ, also Walter Schreifels on guitar. Quite famously, you know, he was in Youth for Today for a point on bass. He was in Quicksand, Rival Schools, etc. Civ also had his own band after these split up, didn't he? But these are still going, still like on a sort of touring only basis, I guess, and they never seem to come over here. But it's a fucking great record again, and like Danny said, I suppose it's a gateway if you've never really
definitely a gateway to straight edge hardcore.
Much of that stuff. Go and check out even the Youth Crew, because it is a softer blow than even Youth for Today, because the vocals on Youth Today are quite harsh, whereas this nice. There's no vocals, but Gorilla Biscuits start today.
My last pick, I've definitely made it less obvious. I'd like to think, Excessive Force, In Your Blood. Mid-90s, 95. If you're a fan of maybe bands like Unbroken And Morning Again, you'd be into stuff like this. Maybe even bands like Earth Mover as well, who I'm not actually sure, or I'm not sure if they're a straight edge band, Earth Mover, but it's that kind of thing.
Sound.
Yeah, a little bit of a story time here. I first heard this about 10 years ago when I was listening to a lot of Chokehold, and I was listening to a lot of that early, metalcore stuff. Do you know what I mean? That went on to influence metalcore. And the thing that struck me about this most, the first song, Those Who Were. Now, if anyone was unlucky enough to see my old band back in the mid 2000s, we had a song called Now or Never. And when I first heard this about 10 years ago, the intro riff to this is exactly the fucking same. Yeah, and I remember first hearing this and was thinking, fucking hell, where have I heard this riff before? And then I realised it's the fucking same as one of our old songs. So instantly my attention was attracted to it just from that. Yeah. But in the first verse, when I heard proud to be straight edge, I was like, yeah, I'm fucking having this. Like I say, very, very metally. Fans of Earth Crisis will buzz off this. I was lucky enough to find a copy of it while I was in Norway. Absolutely amazing kind of beatdown-y, straight edge stuff going on here. Yeah.
Less of my thing.
Yeah, definitely not up your street. No. But yeah. It was between this and it was really hard to pick between this and my honourable mention, but because, like I say, they kind of do remind me of my old band. They remind me of like maybe fun times in my life. Do you know what I mean? Listening to this. So yeah, that's my last choice. Excessive Force, In Your Blood.
Nice. So that's our picks. And what are you going to do for honourable mention?
For my honourable mention, I'm going to go Earth Crisis, Destroy the Machines.
Nice. I'm going to go 7 Seconds, The Crew. So join us next time when we'll be doing top 5.
Emo records.
So look out for that one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you then.